I want to elaborate real quick about where I was going in my head in that previous reading about the divine masculines and, how they grew up and were conditioned about masculinity and the changes going on with that. Because I literally just kind of accidentally, not accident, but just it was a random pick practically of watching a video from Elizabeth April on the changes in masculinity that are taking place at this time. And I was watching it thinking to myself, oh, I want to talk about this, and then ended up getting similar with those cards. So to elaborate on that, I'm going to try and link the video too so you can watch the whole thing, but I'm I can't even say the word, technologically challenged. As I got older, I stopped caring enough to learn to spend the time learning all the changes in technology. So I'll do my best. But anyway, it's a recent video from like a couple weeks ago. So she was talking about how a lot of her friends are at odds with their fathers right now because of there's basically like a fall of toxic masculinity happening, while there's also a healing and awakening going on in men. This may or may not apply to female divine masculines. I'm not really sure. Mildly, I think. She does talk a little bit too about the evolution and happening in divine feminines, but it's primarily about divine masculines. She said she might do another video on focused on feminines. So anyway, so there's a healing and awakening process that's going on in men at this time. And some who are more resistant, especially like fathers and the older generation, are, it's not really happening all that well because they're more stubborn. But what it got me thinking about, this is not a twin flame oriented video she did, but it got me thinking about the divine masculines in the twin flame collective, thinking that we have to remember as divine feminines that divine masculines are going through massive changes as well. Like, you're not the only one going through these purging cycles and healing cycles and awakening process. The masculines are too. It just looks very different to them because they're not as awakened. They're still getting triggered and going through purges, and spirit is putting them through experiences to basically like tear down that 3D conditioning of how life should be and how the world should function and how relationships should function, and is rebuilding that inside them internally, and at the same time putting them through whatever experiences they need to go through to learn certain lessons. That is all part of that restructuring of how they think, how they view the world, how they view life, all of that stuff, as well as how they view love and relationships, because the majority of divine masculines are also avoidant attachment. Well, there are reasons for that. I mean, I don't know exactly how it works from the spiritual side, but I don't think it's a coincidence that divine feminines are usually anxious, ambivalent attachment, and divine masculines are usually avoidant attachment. And part of me thinks that part of the purpose of the twin flame journey is just in healing anxious ambivalence and healing avoidance, to help people, be able to be in healthy relationships. But I know that there's more to it than that. I know that souls are at different stages of soul development. So, twin flame souls are twin flame souls regardless of, anything else. So really, I feel like twin flame souls, that's part of the twin flame journey. It's part of, the lives that we're choosing to incarnate into and the lessons we're choosing to take on. We're choosing to be anxious, ambivalent, or avoidant. So it's really more decisions made at the soul level before incarnating. But the twin flame journey is definitely healing those two things. And it's also extremely prevalent that twin flames are those polarities. And what I've realized too is that, as frustrating as it can be that the masculines are avoidant, the avoidant behavior of the masculine essentially forces the divine feminine to heal the anxious, ambivalent attachment, because you have no choice but to detach and go with the flow, because the masculine is in control of that. You can't force him to do the things that you want him to do. He has to go through his healing process, but in order to get to the point where he is ready to be the divine masculine that he's meant to be for the healed divine feminine. And so those avoidant behaviors are really, like I said, it's forcing the feminine to detach and let go. I say let go carefully, because too many people think that let go means move on. And that's a different topic that I want to talk about in a different video soon. But on the twin flame journey, when you are detaching and you are surrendering and you are going with the flow, which is a process of coming into inner union, you're not moving on. You still have complete full faith in the outcome. You still believe in the connection, believe in your twin, love your twin. You're not rejecting or abandoning your twin. You're simply not trying to control them or the situation anymore. You are detaching from holding on to control issues, and you are stepping into a state of inner peace and allowing the flow of the universe and everything to unfold how it needs to, okay? But anyway, let me go back to the masculine. That was the point of this. So I was saying the masculines are going through their own experiences, designed and tailored by their own higher selves and souls and spirit team for their healing process, for the lessons that they need to learn, for the karmic cycles they need to release, for the healing they need to go through, and for their awakening process. The divine feminine can help with that through spiritual healing work, because twin flames are permitted to heal each other and work on each other without needing 3D permission. You can ask permission from their higher selves, but you're always going to get it because twin flames are allowed to do that. So divine feminines can help them with their process, but that's still their process that spirit is putting them through. So divine feminines need to step back and recognize the masculines are going through their own stuff, their own struggles, and it doesn't help anybody to get upset about what they are or aren't doing or saying, because they have their own internal rebirth process, their own inner metamorphosis that they're going through. Like, you're not the only one who's going into a cocoon, being turned into goo and being reformulated. They are too. Is it comfortable for you? No. It's miserable. It's a painful process, right? They feel the same way. So they can't show up for you the way that you want them to while they're turned to goo inside a cocoon, being restructured and reformulated inside, right? And going back to Elizabeth April's video, she was talking about how the fall of toxic masculinity and the healing of the masculine energy. She was talking about it too in terms of both men and women. So both men and women are healing within, like they're being put through this process subconsciously, are healing within what it means in being in masculine energy or in feminine energy, and how they interact within us, because we all have both, and balancing it. So not only are the masculines, going through everything else I just said, they are also being put through this natural process of healing the toxic masculinity and learning how to be that healed, awakened, divine masculine who is no longer operating from the matrix 3D conditioning of toxic masculinity standards and gender stereotyping that has been established on Earth for thousands of years. That's exciting to me. Like, I so resonated with her video because I have the problem with my dad as well. That's not going to be fixed. And it made me realize that my twin is likely going through something similar with the healing of the masculine template or archetype. So I thought that was really interesting and exciting and important to point out to everyone, to make sure you remember that and have understanding for your twin with whatever it is they're going through, whatever stage of the journey that they're at in their process. So Remember that, hold space for them, hold unconditional love for them, be patient, be understanding, and focus on your own inner journey of detachment and surrendering, okay?